I'm looking at it. It says, okay, guys, I have now started recording it. So go ahead and pin on Lisa Flores's so you can see the video. All right, Lisa, you are on.
All right, we're actually going to have Josh hold the camera so Glenn and I can show you guys.
Hey, Mark, can you stop sharing your screen?
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you.
It does.
Okay.
What you want to do is, if you can, work as a team with a merchandiser or a current helper, or even the store with yourself. What you want to do is get across from each other. Take the wide way of the cross link. You want to go from the end cap from the front to the back, keeping it lifted from the plants because you do not want to do damage to the plants. Lifting it up, bringing it back to where the Y frame is. And then you do want to secure it. There's two ways of securing it. One way, of course, is the block method. When you do the block method, make sure that you have your plants pushed back far enough that you can actually have the block set flat on top of the table. You do not want to tuck it under anything. You want it to be able to secure, and you want the plant to be able to have some oxygen underneath to keep the airflow. That way it doesn't steam the plants. When you come to the front end cap, same thing. One of the things you want to do though is you don't want a tripping hazard. So you want to make sure that you tuck it up and then use your clamp or your block to secure it all the way across the front. And you fold it, tuck it, so you do not have a tripping hazard. Then when you go back to the level that has your Y frames and your hanging baskets, as Mark discussed, you want to take your hanging baskets, bring them down, drop them underneath. Then get your other sheet of frost cloth out of your bin. Bring it across the rest of the plant. So again, you want to use a block. Make sure the product back far enough. You can clamp it. And if you notice, Lisa, what she's doing is, because some of our frost cloth has been cut, we're actually flipping the middle so that it actually has some more secure. Ideally, if the frost cloth was long enough, you would drape it across and cover each of the hanging basket sides as well. When done, make sure that it's secured all the way across. Anything that is too long, you may want to shorten it up just a bit. Again, so that you don't have tripping hazards for the customers or yourself or the Home Depot employees. That's how we cover stuff in Oklahoma. because we do have to cover and rack quite a bit. I think Mark wants us to show how to do the racking of the plant sets.
Hey, Glenn, can you bring one of the clips up close to the camera so everyone can see what the clip is that you're talking about?
So this is one of the clips right here. You'll notice a lot of our stores, we use clips and not block. All of our stores have marked down a literally bins of these for us. That's the UPC and the barcode. Most of these clips, you'll see them in the stores, usually by hardware. A lot of the stores maybe not have them in a bin, but they'll have them on, like, I've seen them on ladders and carts and stuff like that. Because we cover so often. One year we actually had a rack and cover 15 times in one early spring. So the stores have found that it's actually easier just for us to do this and to eliminate the blocks, because what usually happens with the blocks, they go underneath the tables and become tripping hazards, where these just go right back into a bin for us to use.
Okay, and then Glenn, on your frost cloth where you made the cut for the Y-frame, how far in on the frost cloth did you make the cut?
We actually didn't make that cut. That was actually the store. Because my ideal way of doing it is taking one sheet, going from the end cap to the back to the Y-frame, and then clamping both sides and the front, and then taking one piece along the back and then draping it over to secure it. Because you really don't want to cut for me personally, I don't want them to cut the frost cloth, because what happens is with the wind that we have, it actually tears to where now you don't have one piece, you have two short, thin pieces. So I would say don't cut them, but that's just me.
So would it be better then to double up the frost cloth so it folds up and then goes all the way to the Y-frame, and then you put another one in between the Y-frame and then clip them together? Would that be a better way to do it?
We could do that. We kind of did that, but my only concern with that is people reaching for the clips, say in the middle or whatever, they could be crushing the plants.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and let's uncover this. When uncovering your frost blanket, again, you want to make sure you get all the items that are holding it down. As you can see, Lisa's actually folding up the frost blanket. You want to make sure you keep it folded and not balled up and shoved into a cart or anything like that, because it's actually a little bit easier to put the frost blanket back on as needed. And when it's on the table, even with a little bit of wind, it's easier to fold it back up as well.
All right. While Glenn's doing that, Diana, do you have a question?
Yes, I find it helpful and also to help the plants, because a lot of times when we do cover, the stems break on the violas and the pansies and stuff. So what I have my team do is move the metal signage stand kind of in the middle of the table of the grid. And it kind of gives it like a little tent, so it won't damage so many plants. Because a lot of times, the plants survive, but then the stems are broken on top, and it just doesn't look very appealing to customers. So I have a lot of the stores do that. Well, the team that does that. That's helpful
All right,
for us.
Thank you. Good points. All right, thank you. All right, Glenn.
The next thing we're going to do is, if it's under a certain degree, if we have to rack it up, as you see, we just actually grabbed these from the back side of the building, so we don't have the shelves adjusted. When merchandising your table, so clearing the tables onto the racks, you want to merchandise it to where it's still shoppable in the stores. Perfect.
Evan, did you have a question?
Your tags are facing out, like items are together. So we first had, of course, our 6-pack pansies. So we want to make sure that we put the 6-pack pansies together, and then the 4-inch pansies on a different rack, the anthus on a different rack. One thing for sure you want to do is always remove shelf. And then if you're on a slope, you may want to get a block, say a cinder block or some type of block, to where your rack itself doesn't roll away from you while you're trying to load the rack. When after you get done with one shelf, one thing I like to tell the team is when we do cold protection or if we have backup products during the regular season, is I always tell them you want to go about a fist height above your plants. That way you make sure you get enough room in there for them to have enough light, to have enough air, and then also for the store to be able to water as well. Again, keep your light with light, filling it up. And as you do it, making sure that we adjust the shelves as we go up.
Evan, did you have a question while they're doing this rack?
I was just going to comment on the clamps that they use. I saw he put them in his storage tote with his frost cloth. Over here in my district, we normally just get a bucket because it's a whole lot easier to carry around the bucket of clamps to each of your tables. And then to store them, we just get a lid and it seals it off where water can't get in it when you're not using them.
That's a great idea. That's a really good idea. All right, so guys, what Glenn and Lisa is doing is a great idea also. This helps us to really control how much inventory you can get on a cart. So that way, instead of, only 4 shelves for all your packs, you can get 6, 7, 8 shelves on a cart. And that's going to help consolidate the amount of carts you're going to need in each of your stores.
Mark, would you like us to continue filling this rack, or would you like us to go to show how to do RTUs and larger?
Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the RTUs now.
Thank you.
Great examples, Glenn and Lisa. Thank you so much for doing this.
Here are the RTUs. Same thing. What you want to do, again, remove. You always want to start from the bottom and work your way up. That way you adjust your stuff as you go. So again, when you're doing this, find out which way your racks are going to be facing so that your labels are forward. Yeah, same trick. 1/5 worth. So that they can water and the plant to get enough light and air.
And then see what Glenn and Lisa are doing, which is a great example, is putting all of the end cap items together on the same rack. That way you can keep the consistency of the shelves in your flatted material and the consistency of the shelves in your RTUs.
Hey, Glenn and Lisa, how tall should they make their racks? What
Well,
should
you
be the
don't want to go
tallest?
past this. It depends on what you're putting on the rack. If you're putting 4-inch, you can put your 4-inch up here like how it's delivered, but you don't want to put RTUs all the way up here on the top. You probably wouldn't want to go any further than, what is that, about a foot down from the top because of the weight and the safety. You want to make sure that your customers can shop it easily and that it's not going to fall down on them and cause harm.
And finish work. And then I probably with RTUs, even with some of the keg pansies, 2-gallon mums, even some of the whiskey barrel mums, I really would only do 3 shelves because that would be about where the height is. Most customers, if anything has any weight from the top, you have a risk of it, them pulling it, catching the lip of the trays and flipping it on them for sure. But again, you want to make sure whichever way your rack is going to be staged, that your labels are facing out. Of course, so it's shoppable, people will see what those items are. And that goes for the hanging baskets as well. Same thing, fish worth the top of the plant, and then just have your hanger bend it over underneath the shelves. Is there anything
All
else
right.
Mark wants to cover?
No, I think you did a great job. Thank you both. One thing I do want to share with everybody though is if you are limited on the amount of racks you have, please make sure you're taking care of the most saleable inventory first. So in other words, as we get into the winter months, if you've got some stage 5 mums and such, or stage 4 mums, those would be the last items you're going to rack up, because as all high probability happens is once we have a hard freeze or a frost, if you're racking up material, that means chances are the customer trends are going to move towards cool season annuals. So if you are tight on racks, make sure you're very specific as far as what you're going to rack up. Okay.
Mark, I would like to add one more thing. For stores that have HPEs, mostly with the cold that may come in, frost and stuff like that, but even during the summer, with the heat of the summer, you want to make sure you remove plants away from the glass, because the cold will go through the glass, and same with the heat.
Thanks, Glenn.
right.
That's a great point.
All right. Any other questions for Glenn and Lisa while we got them here? All right. Thank you both very much.
That's our awesome Ozark DSMs. Whoop, whoop. Go Oklahoma.
Okay. So guys, the last thing I've got for you here in the last 2 or 3 minutes, just real quick. We do have poinsettia shipping next week. So they're going to be shipping out to the top 50 stores across the division. So I will be getting with Tully later today. I'll send an email out to the DSMs for each of you, so you'll see when it's coming in. It's going to be, early next week. But what we're going to do is it's going to be 3 to 5 racks per store. At this point right now, we've got so many other topics to work on next week with table breakdowns and Christmas and everything else. If you don't get a chance to build your poinsettia table on Thursday or Friday, it's okay to go ahead and just leave them racked in the store. Please put them in a high traffic aisle away from a vestibule or away from windows where there might be cold drafts on them. But then we can put them out the following week. I know there's a lot going on with the stores next week with the Christmas tree bins being built and everything else. So the focus next week is on that, but you will be getting poinsettias in your stores early next week. Just one last reminder then is quart mums are still on sale through Monday. Please make sure that your signs are up in the stores over this weekend. We want to drive the last bit of mum sales that we can. All right, any other questions then before we wrap up? All right, guys. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Good job, everybody.
Bye.